Alright, so my name is Emma Mantlo, and this is my exploratory presentation. I will be comparing Greek and Mesopotamian civilizations. So, what makes a civilization great? Well, I came up with 5 different subjects or topics, if you will, that make a civilization great. So first there is government, there is sophistication of agriculture, transportation and trade, religion or belief systems, and advanced architecture and art. So first, looking into government. Government is important for making a great civilization because it signifies a sense of security for the people, and it also provides a sense of structure in laws and enforcement and hierarchy, and that proves its sophistication as well. There's also agriculture, which is so significant because it is inclusive of animal domestication, stable food source, permanent housing, which shows that the people have settled down, and it shows that they've become stationary, which shows that their civilization is stable. There is also transportation and trade. Transportation creates great civilizations because it facilitates trade, exchange, and travel. And not only this, but there's also trade of ideas and religion. And without effective transportation, areas would be largely isolated from each other. It also plays a role in letting people move to or take over new regions. Evidence of religion and belief systems also make a civilization great because it creates social structure, it can create unity by forming community, and it can protect freedoms of individuals. And on occasion, it can also shape government and what is promoted by the leaders, and this actually happens a lot in great civilizations. And finally, there is advanced architecture and art. This shows that people are dedicated to their settlement and its surrounding community. It tends to provide a solid expression of the civilization at that time by showing their growth, their specialization, and their skill. And it may even show where trade was prevalent. Alright, now into the achievements of ancient Greece and Mesopotamia. So now, in comparison, both of the civilizations followed a polytheistic religion, meaning that they believed in multiple gods. While Greece is actually a prime example, Mesopotamia followed a similar style of the city-state governing. The city-state style of governing also extended to their worship, as both civilizations worshiped gods and goddesses on a city-by-city basis, and that kind of follows into what I was saying about the polytheistic religion. For example, Athens worshipped Athena, Sparta worshipped Ares, Corinth worshipped Poseidon, and all of this was influenced by their geography. Also, both made major strides in mathematics. The Mesopotamians created their first point precision system by making arithmetic possible for the first time. Greeks expanded on this actually by creating new forms of math with complex equations and problems. Both civilizations created impressive works of religious architecture according to their belief systems, and their art was religiously influenced on both sides. For example, the Greeks built temples, while the Mesopotamians built ziggurats. Both civilizations made strides in astrology, and Mesopotamia settled the groundwork, while the Greeks expanded on those concepts. Greece and Mesopotamia are also known for their great works of religious fiction. For example, Greece with the Odyssey, and Mesopotamia with the Tale of Gilgamesh. Going on to the contrasting, we're going to compare directly Mesopotamia and Greece. So, to begin with, the political systems in Mesopotamia was a theocracy, which meant that the leader over each city was viewed as having divine power. While in Greece, they had foundations of democracy. Mesopotamia had one of the first writing systems, while Greece made largest contributions to Western philosophy. In Mesopotamia, they were the first to use animal husbandry, irrigation, and agriculture, while Greece created foundations of modern medicine. Art in Mesopotamia was actually focused on sculptures carved into walls of temples, while Greece focused on human sculptures, which was continued by the Romans and influenced by Renaissance art. The earliest known legal code was the Code of Hammurabi, which was Mesopotamian, and the Greeks were the first to have a judicial legal system. Now, on to what ways do the 21st century ideas differ from ancient Greek and Mesopotamian ideas? Specifically pertaining to the Greeks, many countries still use Greek democracy as a basis for their government, but have expanded upon those conditions for citizenship. Modern ideas of no absolute truth go against the ideas of Greek philosophy, which Aristotle taught about his definition for absolute truth, which was aletheia. Modern ideas such as socialism, communism, capitalism were not known to the Greeks. Nationalism and pride in ethnicity are the unifying principles for us now, but the ties for the Greeks were what city that they were born in. The philosophy on war around the world that it is not glorious, but a last resort to solving problems. Combat is not glorified in most countries, but in ancient Greek culture, war was among the most noble things that a man could do, and in some city-states, it was the most honorable way to die. And finally, modern philosophy on schooling is that teachers should take many students on at once, but in ancient Greek times, it was better to have an individualized education, and is what they focused on. And moving on to Mesopotamia, the majority of nations do not follow a theocratic form of government anymore, but they used to in Mesopotamia. Animal sacrifice is no longer practiced in the 21st century for the most part in our religious systems. We no longer ascribe our loyalties to our cities, but rather our ethnic backgrounds or nationalism. This is similar to Greece. Ways of worshiping differ than the Mesopotamians because they use ziggurats for religious buildings, but now we use churches, chapels, temples, and shrines. And finally, priests were leaders, but also sources of healing in Mesopotamian times. But over time, various roles have filled that role. For example, now doctors, therapists, psychologists assigned in asserting what's wrong now. All right, so that concludes my presentation, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Bye.